thought the music in the 70s was much more interesting than the music today.
The decline of the Roman Empire is what happened in the 70s, I think.
Hang on, the 70s had a lot of good stuff. Every decade has good stuff.
There were a lot of good contributions that were made, and there was a lot of crap too.
There's an awful lot of sort of disco crap and other stuff, as there has always been.
But now, you know, I look back at the 70s and I find things that were really very good.
The great stuff from the Eagles,
ZZ Top,
Stevie Wonder, Fleetwood Mac, Frank Zappa, Sly and the Family Stone,
Little Feat,
Bob Marley,
Leonard Skinner, Roxy Music,
Rod Stewart,
Led Zeppelin,
Marvin Gaye, Aerosmith,
Bob Seger, Elton John.
I started in the 70s, for Christ's sakes.
What a healthy time it was for music, and there was this huge circle, 360 degrees of each degree being a different musical category. It's wonderful.
And it just got to be more music. You know, it used to be you had to be pretty big to make an album. But suddenly there were albums by people I'd never heard of.
I really believe that in the 70s, it was a great combination of fashion, artistic sense, songwriting. It was an incredible time.
Musically, it just seems like the 70s, everything was an excuse for a party.
We're just having a party.
It was okay to have a lot of money. It was okay to flaunt it.
Everybody had an airplane.
Beautiful women anytime you wanted her.
Then came the cocaine, then came the booze.
Jack Daniels.
Cognac,
Budweiser.
Don't ever drink anything that you can't see through.
Nobody knew that everything was bad for you yet, or that could cause you to crash your car, or you're going to have to go to rehab for that one, you know, and on and on. It was a great time to be alive.
Your everlasting summer, you can see it fading fast. So you grab a piece of something that you think is gonna last. Well, you wouldn't even know a diamond if you held it in your hand. The things you think are precious, I can't understand. Are you reeling in the years, stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
The 70s was the time when music blossomed. So many different styles and so many ideas. The artist had developed the ability to create an income to allow him some freedom. It was definitely a fun time. A lot of the bands that I was involved with, the Steely Dan, the Doobie Brothers, bands like that, used that time to experiment.
There were so many different aspects to music, what was being appreciated, what was actually being invested in by record companies.
In the 70s, the one good thing about it was I'd write like 10 new songs, go and record them, give them to the record company, and they go, oh, it's great. And then, you know, no politics or anything, and it'd just be, and if it did well, which luckily they did, most of them, it'd be up in the charts, and there'd be no political kind of, well, you know, we don't hear a single. You know what I mean? That sort of thing, that's which they do now a lot, to lots of people.
A band like Steely Dan probably we couldn't get arrested now. Because they said, well, what format are you in? Well, are you AC? Are you AOR? Are you CHR? Are you CHS? Are you FBI? You know, I don't know.
Are you reeling in the years, stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
The music of the 70s was very, very unique because it was reaching for origination. In other words, you didn't have to. There was no groups of artists copying each other. Everybody was reaching for their own originality, and so I found that very interesting. And also the standards had not been set. They were like new standards, so everybody was going for new things.
There had been enough time in the rock and roll timeline to be able to draw from that. And there had been enough rock and roll, the three-chord guys. There was the rhythm and blues and the blues of the 40s and 50s. There was the jazz era. there had been enough rockabilly, there had been enough country music. So now you have the wellspring. You can draw from a lot of different things, and a lot of the bands in the 70s did that.
But for people to come together like that, and this alchemy that actually occurred there it was just something. It was something that was, you know, it was written in the stars, you know, that it had to be.
Chemistry is another one of Page's sort of philosophical overview terms, I guess. It was just luck, and the fact is that it worked really, really well.
I'll give you all I've got to give.
Whatever it was pretty honest, a little devious, and certainly not adverse to a little bit of thievery, musically. However, you know, we're not the first people to have done that. My vocal performance comes from everywhere. Whatever I listen to that I like. Ray Charles's Howl, I'm Drowning My Own Tears, or Wynonie Harris or Louis Jordan. There's loads and loads of stuff. All that stuff, you throw it all in a blender and throw the switch and you got me.
Why don't you get yourself together, baby? I'm sure you gotta go.
I remember listening to the first Zeppelin albums, and it was like such a great, like, a breath of fresh air for someone to be doing something acceptable, but yet so different, you know.
I haven't liked a single thing that they've done. I hate the fact that I'm ever even slightly compared to them. I've just never, ever liked them. It's a real problem for me because as people, I think they're all really, really great guys. Just never liked the band, and I don't know whether I've just got a problem block to them because they were, well, they became so much bigger than The Who in so many ways in their chosen field, but I've never liked them.
The bands that were alternative then, you know, like the Jeff Beck group and Led Zeppelin, those are the alternative bands really to the pop bands like the Beatles and the, you know, the early Stones. I mean, they were like the pop idols, you know what I mean? And then these bands that were coming in playing the blues and that kind of stuff, that was the underground rebellious music.
Now you consider everyone's all jolly and tiptoeing around, stoned on acid, having Woodstock and all love, peace and sex and drugs and rock and roll and all that's great, yeah. But for us guys that were living in this hole in the world, it wasn't that way. And Tony Iommi said to Wanda, wouldn't it be interesting to put this horror vibe to a musical thing? And then we started to write doomy music, we used to call it. Or this death music, doom music. I'll never forget when I got the first Black Sabbath album and I took it home to my parents. It starts with rain and thunder and it's all this demonic devil stuff. And I can see my mother and my father look at each other and in amazement, and they both simultaneously turn around to me and says, Ozzy, are you sure you're just only drinking the occasional beer here?
I need someone to show me the things in life that I can't find. I can't see the things that make true happiness. I must be blind.
I hate the word heavy metal because it's like, what musical connotations does it have? What's heavy metal? Lead? Where does the music come there?
It would be unfair to say that anybody who sings in the band thinks that Led Zeppelin was ever hard rock or heavy metal, because at least a third of our music was acoustic.
To me, it's basically all rock and roll. Some people play a little faster, some people play a little slower, some people play louder. It's all basically really based on the blues.